Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Inside the PSAC, and finally we're at the final week of the regular season for the 2019-2020 basketball season. But before we look ahead at playoffs, let's take a look back and see what happened this past weekend and see where everybody stands. But first, before we look at the standings, let's take a look at the scores from this past Saturday. First, on the women's side, Cal U traveling to newly renovated Tippin Gymnasium and wins by 20, 65-45. Lock Haven over Westchester, 71-60. You see a close one. East Stroudsburg outlasting Shepherd. Kutztown over Mansfield. IUP all over Seton Hill. Edinburgh in a local rivalry, 75-59 wins. Shippensburg, 73 over Bloomsburg, 64. And then Gannon all over the Rock, 87-50. And after those wins, let's take a look at the standings as we finally have some numbers next to some teams. And we see the PSAC West is decided. The 1 and 2 seeds are set. IUP will be the 1 seed and Gannon will be the 2 seeds. That means both teams will have a bye next Monday and will host home games the following Wednesday. Cal U and Edinburgh are fighting for that 3 and 4 spot, but neither one can fall out of a home game next Monday as Pitt Johnstown is locked into the 5 seed, and then Seton Hill and Mercyhurst have the inside track for the 6 seed, but don't sleep on Slippery Rock. They're only game out with 2 games to play, so anything can happen in that final spot. Now looking at the PSAC East, Shippensburg, East Stroudsburg, Kutztown, and Shepherd all fighting for that 1 and 2 spot. You see Lock Haven and Bloom are locked in at the 5 and 6, so they know they will go on the road next Monday, but there is a lot to play for in the PSAC East. Seeding is so important, getting that home game both Monday and Wednesday. Now let's take a look at the players of the week from this past week, and there's going to be a theme both in the women's and men's. A lot of teammates getting accolades this week. You see in the East both offense and defense. Shepherd University for offense, Abby Beeman, she averaged 30 points a game in a 1-on-1 week, and she had a career-high 38 points on the game against Millersville. And then on the East defensive player, her teammate Sydney Clayton, she averaged 6.5 rebounds a game, 3.5 blocks, and 2.5 steals. Now the players of the week in the West Division, and this seems like a broken record. Michaela Barnes, once again for Edinburgh, she averaged 34 points a game in a 1-on-1 week. They took IUP to double overtime on Wednesday, and she had 42 points in that loss at the KCAC. And then the West Defense Player of the Week, Cal U's own Bianca Jasper. She had 7.5 rebounds a game, 6.0 steals per game, and Cal went 2-0. Now let's take a look at the schedule for this week in the PSAC. First Wednesday, February 26th, a lot of afternoon games, as is the case on Wednesday night, highlighted for Cal U fans by the chip to Mercyhurst. Cal looking for some payback after that loss at home against Mercyhurst. That game is at 5:30. And then another game you probably want to look at would be maybe Kutztown, Bloomsburg, Shepherd at Shippensburg, and then Gannon and Mansfield both are off. And then Saturday, the last game of the regular season in the PSAC, a big one right at top there, Gannon at Cal. A lot of seedings and everything to be decided in that one. Cal also looking to avenge a loss at Gannon, a game in which they scored their lowest point total since 1986. And then looking down, Clarion and Bloomsburg have the off games. But to keep track of everything going on the PSAC, playoff races, and more, make sure to check out the PSAC website at www.psacsports.org, and they will have up-to-date scores and standings in this all-important last week of conference play. To watch along with CUTV, check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, CUTV Sports 1, where you see the games live. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications when our games are live. Not just our games, our studio shoots as well. Also, be sure to follow and like our Twitter handle, our Twitter page at CUTV_PA for crew pictures and up-to-date links as well. And if you want to listen to the games, if you can't be by a computer, make sure you listen to our sister station at 91.9 FM, WCAL, for the live audio over the air. And then if that's not enough Cal U information, make sure to check out our good friends' work, Matt Kiefer and Alex King at calvulcans.com for game stories and much, much more. After the break, we're going to dive into the PSAC men's side. You're watching Inside the PSAC right here on CUTV.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friend?
It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
It's time to make the PSAC yours. More than 7,500 student athletes working to become champions in 23 championship sports at 18 universities, educating more than 118,000 students, and supported by an alumni base of over 900,000. All in and all ready to make the PSAC yours. It's the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Consider the future. Your future. At California University of Pennsylvania, you can build your life your way because we believe in you. We invest in you, empower you to create the future you envision. We give you the tools and teaching so you can rise up and achieve. Don't settle for someone else's vision of you. Build you at CalU. Visit us at calu.edu.
And welcome back to Inside the PSAC for this all-important final week of the regular season. And there's a lot to play for this final week for the men. But first, let's take a look at what happened Saturday in the PSAC. As we see an important slate of scores this Saturday, highlighted at the top, CalU going to Clarion, winning 79-54. Westchester getting on back on track against Lock Haven, 98-83. East Stroudsburg over Shepherd. Kutztown holding off a pesky Mountaineers of Mansfield, 85-76. And this is not a typo. IUP dominating Seton Hill, 89-38. Mercyhurst also getting 89, but Edinburgh was a little more game by scoring 69 points. Shippensburg and Bloomsburg in a tight one. Bloomsburg getting the win, and then Slippery Rock beating Gannon by 10, 78-68. And as we can see on the PSAC West standings, IUP has locked down the #1 seed in the PSAC West, but a lot to play for this week as Mercyhurst, UPJ, and CalU all have a legitimate shot at getting that #2 seed and a bye in the PSAC West. Gannon and Slippery Rock both are qualified for the PSAC tournament, but probably are going to be locked into that 5 and 6 spot, depending on whether they flip-flop or not. Now looking over at the PSAC East, there's a lot to play for on that, as only 3 teams have earned automatic bye. Shippensburg getting the 1 seed, 16-4 over in the conference, and then 20-6 overall. East Stroudsburg and Westchester both still fighting for that 2 spot. And then if you look, Millersville, Lock Haven, Shepherd, and Kutztown all fighting for those final spots. So one of those teams will be on the outside looking in. Now let's take a look at the PSAC Athletes of the Week. On the offensive side in the East, Malik Jackson for Westchester. He went for 22 and 25 points in a 2-0 week, an impressive 62% from the field for the Rams player, the senior Malik Jackson. And then the East Defensive Player of the Week, Heath Roby from Westchester. He had 4 steals and 10 rebounds, but those stats are a little misleading as he locked down 2 very good players in Westchester's week last week. Now in the PSAC West, you're going to see some more teammates right there as Jermaine Hall and Luke House getting offensive and defensive players of the week. Jermaine Hall was co-offensive player of the week after a 20.5 points per game average. He had a double-double versus Seton Hill and went off in the road game at Clarion. And Malik Miller, triple-double versus Edinburgh, and that's only the 3rd triple-double in IUP history. So both those 2 players deserving of the co-offensive players of the week. And then Luke House for CalU, West Defensive Player of the Week. He had 18 rebounds in a 2-0 week, highlighted by a 13-rebound performance at Clarion. Now let's take a look at the schedules for the final week of the regular season. And once again, it's going to be exactly the same as the women's slate. But the CalU Mercyhurst game is huge because both of those 2 teams are fighting for that #2 spot in the PSAC. And then Seton Hill trying to play spoiler at UPJ. UPJ also trying to fight for that #2 spot. And let's look at Saturday's action, the final day of the regular season in the PSAC. Leap Day, February 29th. And there's a huge one right at top, Gannon at CalU. Gannon a few games behind CalU, but they can play spoilers. CalU's fighting for that 2 or 3 spot in a home game in the Convocation Center on that Monday. And then if you look down maybe the next biggest games might be Lock Haven, Millersville, or Westchester, East Stroudsburg, and Clarion and Bloomsburg will be watching all of the chaos unfold. And to watch all the chaos unfold and find out where everything's happening in standings and scores more, make sure to check out www.psacsports.org for all of your latest information on the standing schedules, scores, and more in this all-important final week of the regular season. Also, make sure to subscribe to CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube to see the games live, both home and on the road. And also, if you're in the California area, Fayette County, and parts of Greene and Westmoreland County, you can watch the games live on our cable channels, Channel 17 on Atlantic Broadband and Channel 61 on Armstrong Cable. And then on campus, it's 30.1. For up-to-date information and tweets, follow our Twitter along at CUTV_PA for crew pictures, links to live games, and much, much more. If you want to listen to the game, if you're in the car, if you're driving around in a 40-mile radius of California, make sure to check out our sister station, 91.9 FM WCAL. And if that doesn't do it for you, for your Caillou Sweet Tooth on this Fat Tuesday, if you want to get all that information for Caillou, make sure to check out our good friends, Hard Work, Matt Keifer and Alex King, and their staff at www.calvulcans.com.